Hi, I'm Jason Gorber from thatshelf.com, and we're here to talk about, why not, Probot. So I get asked enough times that it becomes funny, who's your favorite Star Wars character? And for years, look, I loved Boba Fett when I was a kid. Don't even know why, it just seemed much cooler than a whole bunch of the other costumes. And especially how he was teased out. You sort of knew about him before you ever saw him. I don't know that I saw the holiday special when it played in 1978. I doubt it, but I certainly knew enough about the toys and the other nonsense. As I mentioned in another video, I got the 12-inch figure of Boba Fett. So he just became somebody that I really cared about. You could sort of look through the back of his head, like I guess the $6 Million Man kind of figures did that. That you felt like you're part of the character. I don't know. Super interesting. Then it became... and I still do love IG-88, just in terms of the bounty hunters. IG-11 showing up in Mandalorian was played by Taika Waititi was a particular thrill because you actually got to see this character do something rather than just stand there. So it was always like after everybody got into Boba Fett, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go over this guy. I didn't pick Dengar or Bosk or any of those, but just IG-88. And then I guess in the comics and other auxiliary stuff, he also became kind of a much more interesting, much more robust character than I had in my imagination. I liked him when it was an action figure because he was tall and lanky and looked like a killer robot and came with 2 guns. I mean, it was a good thing to get. Since that time, though, you know, my fundamental normal answer about who my favorite character is, because why not, is the Viper droid, the Imperial probe droid, or affectionately known as Probot. Although I've heard from some people that didn't know what Probot was. I know it's the name of a band, but it's a whole nother thing. Anyway, so for years, I've been like really wanting them to do really good versions of Probots. I'm a big fan of this ridiculous spider droid. So yeah, I was very excited when LEGO decided to release this. The Imperial probe droid set. Just came out, set number 75306, 683 pieces, and there we are, my beloved Proby. So on the back we have nice little shots of his or her claim to fame, whichever way we're going to go with this. Han Solo shooting the ship, shooting it as it bursts into flames. The sort of initial spotting right at the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. And there's just something, I love the sound design, I love the look, I love that it was this just bizarre, spidery kind of thing, and I loved how it was animated. So if you look in the actual instruction manual, because I've been doing a really good job recently of these instruction manuals, you actually have a little story of it, including photos of Phil Tippett. Trying to get it out. But there's Phil Tippett, who helped design and animate the actual beastie. Really fascinating sort of period of filmmaking when they were experimenting not only with stop motion that they had done a little bit in Star Wars, especially the chess scene and other elements like that, but by the time they got to Empire Strikes Back, they were experimenting with things like go motion, where you basically had roboticized armatures, so you would still shoot frame at a time, but you would actually get some motion blur. That's how the tauntauns and other elements worked. But this, for most of the mechanical things like the AT-ATs, the walkers, and probe droid, it was pretty straightforward. Just came off and sort of floated away. So it was this, anything sort of mechanical had this, for lack of a better word, stop motion-y sort of judder look, and the more organic elements like the creatures, they actually allowed it to be much better integrated in. It was a really beautiful way of doing it. So, thanks to the magic of, you know, having done this ahead of time, here is the set. So, this guy comes on this little floaty beast, but it's actually really beautifully done. I mean, considering it's made out of Lego parts, a bunch of them that didn't exist not so long ago, these large round pieces are not so old, as it were. They did a really elegant job, and it all sort of sits on one of these like UCS-like plates with a bunch of snow dripping all over it. They actually got some of the pieces to actually cover a little bit of the Star Wars logo, which is somewhat surprising. But nonetheless, there is my little Lego Proby. Antennas on top. The construction of the head is particularly impressive. Lots of angles to actually get all these arachnid-like a protrusion sort of coming out of there. And it's sort of, again, on this little clear thing, as an arm falls off, as it's wont to do. It is Lego, after all, lest we forget. If you actually read that it actually is an Arakid Industries, very close to Arachnid, you know, they're having fun with the fictionalized version. But yeah, this is the Imperial Probe Droid in Lego form, as ridiculous as it is. As the head obviously rotates along its core, so you can actually have it and see it sort of floating away in a snowscape. Now, I have a bunch of others. One I wasn't able to dig out. It's the original sort of green box one from the 90s. It's packed away with a whole bunch of my other action figures. If anybody's interested in about 550 action figures, give me a call. I'm willing to sell a bunch of them. But I went and actually bought this because I had a friend, thank you, Paul, who actually let me know that there is a Black Series version of Probot. Now, I kind of like this stuff in package. I'm kind of a lunatic that way. Obviously, Lego I'm opening up. I'm not completely crazy. But when it comes to this stuff, I actually don't mind it in package. There's something about keeping it in the box that I actually don't hate, as crazy as that is. This is actually the only Black Series I've bought. I spent way too much money on figures in my past. And so when the Black Series came out, as amazing and fantastic as they are, I spend my money elsewhere. Let's put it that way. You have those of you who've been watching some of the videos, please subscribe on our channel, are aware where most of my actual money goes. But the sort of beast of all of them, as beautiful as the Lego is and beautiful as this is this guy. So Sideshow Collectibles, who do a bunch of the completely ridiculous, often over-the-top elements, came out with this battery-powered scale replica. This is basically the size of what it would have been the actually animated version of Probot, with all the articulated elements, all the individual arms, all in this. Obviously, the head rotates. All these little lenses and other elements are all here. And as you can hear, it actually does what we want it to do, namely to play the bappa da bappa part of the actual sound that it makes in the movie. So with these elements here, all coming together on this sort of very exclusive limited edition bit of a character that, frankly, most people don't even remember. Now, it shows up in other shows. Spoiler, there's a little one that shows up in Bad Batch. But nonetheless, there's it's a character that sort of appears every so often. I don't know how much of a fan favorite it is. I actually was, this is not the first time I've been obnoxious, but when Rian Johnson took over, one of the things that I actually begged him to do was to include a Probot in his film. It actually ended up being in Solo, is where a bunch of them show up, similar creatures. And there is one that goes by in the background of Rogue One. I actually heard it before I saw it. That's how weirdly attuned I am to this nonsense in this fictional world. But nonetheless, I did a poster for it, which I'll put up here, as part of a contest, just to say, what minor character do you want them to make an entire Star Wars movie with? And I would kind of love this like semi-silent film following this guy as he just goes on adventures. I'm sure he has like a wonderful garden, and he might have a family he goes home to. Who knows? Again, or she, we don't know, or it. Who knows? Whatever identity Probot actually chooses is one I will absolutely support. Nonetheless, for a little bit of more Star Wars fun, I'm Jason Gorber. Thanks so much for watching this little bit of ridiculousness. Please subscribe. Please hit the bell. Please follow us on social media, and we will see you next video. All the best. Take care.